Made a couple of things over the weekend. Here's one of them. In a couple of weeks, my friend and I are going to Mad Monster, so I'm making something to meet Matt Lillard in. Enter Scooby Doo vintage sheets I got off eBay, and my Notion page where I'm keeping track of some of these things. Shout out Brinty Art for making this template. But I wasn't really sure how to start this one, but here's the fabric. Super cute, really soft, and I got a fitted sheet and a full top sheet. So I just started trying out shirring. I had tried this a long time ago, but it didn't go super well the first time I did it. So shirring is when you think of like summer sundresses that have elastic in the top, the part of the bodice that's all kind of crinkled, but it's stretchy. That's shirring. So I've tried this once before and I was not successful, but trying again, I was able to figure it out. So here I am. Top part I'm folding over to make the hem for the top of the bodice, and then I kind of just sew in straight lines back and forth on the bodice. I sewed them about 1/4 of an inch apart with white cotton thread on the top, and then the elastic thread in the bobbin. And you can see that here. I'm just kind of doing that piece. The only bummer about this is that I am not as familiar with elastic thread. Had to end up playing bobbin chicken a couple of times, so you can see me trying to like lift it up and check to see if the bobbin is still full every once in a while when I have it over top of that bobbin window in my machine. I did run out a couple of times and I had to rethread it, and that is kind of a pain as well, but you can just see them back and forth, and I just kind of pick it up and scoot it over the 1/4 of an inch, and you can see it starting to like bunch up here because of the elastic, and it's just a lot of back and forth. And there's me checking again. And you can see that I actually lost the game of chicken here. So the main thing that I don't love about this method is rethreading the bobbin because I have to hand wind the bobbin. It's not the most fun. It is time consuming. And as you can see, the only way that I try and make it easier is by pushing it up against a crochet hook to hold it in place, and then I wind and wind and wind and wind and wind. And so you'll see that here.
Approximately 10 hours later.
And then about, 10 hours later, I am still winding the bobbin. But you can see that for some reason this crochet hook method helps me a lot. But I am finally done after a certain point here. Get the bobbin as full as it can be, and then just snip off the elastic thread and put the bobbin back in. And then I'm just going to keep sewing those straight lines back and forth until I've reached like the amount of the bodice that I want to have the shirring on it. Then here's a view of what the shirring looks like before it's steamed, so you can see that even without steaming it, it's still pretty scrunchy. And then here is a view as I am steaming it. So I've just taken my iron and filled it up with water and set it to the steam setting, and I'm just hitting the elastic with the steam. It's pretty simple, trying not to put it down on the shirring at all to make sure that it doesn't flatten anything in a weird way, but you can kind of see it scrunch up there as the steam hits it, and that's pretty cool. Be careful. This is hot, and I did get splashed with some water every so often. So just be careful when you're doing this if you're going to try shirring out. You also have to do quite a long piece of fabric for this because it scrunches up, so keep that in mind. I kind of just guessed and hoped for the best, and it worked out for me, but probably measuring is a better option for this as well. Give it a little stretch to take a look at how it bunches back up, and it's looking pretty good. I do think it's kind of cool. I can still see the characters running. Those character silhouettes are something I thought I might lose, but it's still really recognizable. So here it is after steaming, and here it is next to some of the pre-shirred fabric that I've purchased for sundresses at Joann's. And you can see it looks pretty similar. I probably could shorten up my stitch, but this is close enough. This is a little bit of an impromptu dress. I didn't use a pattern I originally was going to, and I probably should have. The shirring was easy enough, and I had hoped it would be like a tiered dress look, but I definitely didn't have enough fabric for that. So I just decided to move the pockets, get those attached, and so here I just kind of put my hand on the fabric to cut the pockets out. I know roughly what shape they should be, so that's my process. There are plenty of YouTube videos on how to do it correctly, but this is what works for me. So I drew around the hand and made sure that the opening would be big enough for my hands to get in and out as well. But here I'm adding the pockets. I stitch them right side together on the side of the dress where I want the opening, and then I clip them together in order to attach them. But when you are doing the right side together, sometimes it feels counterintuitive, but what's going to happen is you're going to fold that back, and it's going to be inside the dress, and then you get a really nice clean seam on the outside. So that's the look, and then you just sew right there in order to attach them. And once that's done, you go in and you will just pin them together around the edges. And once you've done that, you'll just sew straight around. You can use like a zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger, but I have a serger, and so that's what I used for this one. It's pretty stable. It was a great investment. It was something I was able to buy, and I'm really happy that I have, because it makes my clothes a lot more stable. But there's certainly some different stitches on like regular machines that you can use. Zigzag stitch I like when I'm not able to use my serger or I don't have it, so it's definitely an option. And then just make sure to line up the edges. I know it's a little hard to see here because I went out of frame, but when you're looking at the pocket, you don't want them to be like mismatched on the top. And because it was just one long line, I closed that side up right there, went around the pocket, and then all the way down the side of the dress. I didn't have to hem the bottom, which was nice because I used the bottom of the sheet, but this is what it looks like when it's done. I also added some shoulder straps, some thicker ones, because I wanted to be able to see the patterning, but you can see the tiered attempt, but it is have two side slits because that's the only way that it would fit properly. It's a little cross in the back, and I think that's cute. But this is what we ended up with. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for some new stuff. Bye!